It's like, hey, I'm here, and you're not even looking. Like almost like being on a bus and you're sitting next to somebody. And you never look to your left, so you know, and you never realize like you're standing next to Denzel Washington. You know what I mean? Like and then you just turn like, oh, So anyway, have you seen stuff like that where like a little pivot, like made a big difference for people?
Yeah, it's like taking your blinders off. So when I say life be life, and it's like we're walking through life almost looking at our cell phone. So our head is down, we're trying to get through the day-to-day tasks, and money is passing us on both sides. Opportunity is passing us on both sides. And unless you are strategic or conscious about, let me look up and take an active role in my life. And that's kind of when you start thinking about things like, let me try this. I have this talent, I have this skill, I have something that I'm good at. Let me try my hand at it. Let me see if I can monetize it. Can I make money from it? And then not be afraid to step out and do it. Because in my opinion, as a Black people, we are so resilient. We are so talented. We are so skilled. Everybody wants to be like us,
Mhm.
except for us sometimes. Like we don't realize the talent and the skill that we have. Everybody has something that somebody has said, you make the best, you do the best. They ask you a question 5 times, but we don't recognize that as being a skill or a talent that we have, and we'll dim it. But really, there's something that everybody does that's good. So literally anybody can have a side hustle because there's a talent, a skill, a knowledge, even an experience that you have been through that somebody else wants to know about so that they can do, and they'll pay you for it. But we don't
Yeah,
think about it that way.
yeah. It's almost like it's maybe a self-esteem issue, right? Like we're extremely good at making money for other people, and we take that pride in serving others, right, and helping others to achieve their goals and build whatever they're building. And I don't know if we always think about that with ourselves. I know last night when we did our Powernomics class that we do every Wednesday, I was talking about that. I think there was a point where we were reiterating a previous discussion where the WNBA star Angel Reese had bought this really nice Mercedes, and
Mm-hmm.
there was all this controversy like, oh, she's just wasting her money, whatever. I didn't care about that. I think that that's fine. She's probably got plenty of money and everything. But I said, now think about that though. Why would you go and spend your money on something like that? Well, part of the reason we might buy something is because it makes us feel better, right? This is where you got to be careful about spending because there's a psychological connection between buying something, buying a luxury item, and just feeling better about yourself. And I think that as Black people, because that self-esteem is not always there, we buy the luxury stuff because it's like, oh, now look at me, I got Gucci. Now look at me, I got a Benz. Now look at me, I got this degree from this big white university, right? And it's like our self-esteem's like rising as a result of all these very expensive things that we spent money on. But I said, so let's talk about that Mercedes from a different perspective. I said, let's go back to the beginning. Let's look at the origin of the Mercedes company, right? So I showed them this picture of this um ugly looking like motorized tricycle, right? And you know what it was? Lene, it was the first automobile ever created. And it was created by a guy named Carl Benz. Benz, right? And yeah, he invented the first automobile. And all it was, they called it a horseless carriage. It was basically, it looked like a big tricycle. It had this stupid, ugly little handle. It looked dangerous as hell. You ain't it wasn't going nowhere. It probably went 50 yards. And I said, this is where all this began. This company has very humble beginnings, and now just a couple generations later, 3 generations later, they're making $170 billion a year, right? So I said, these people ain't no better than you, right? And so instead of just increasing your self-esteem through purchasing consumer goods, maybe we can also sort of, I guess, elevate our self-esteem by building things and creating things for ourselves, right? Like the Benz family name is no more important than your family name. The difference is though he poured into his family name. He could, because remember, if he had spent all his time looking for a job, he never would have started Mercedes Benz. If he spent all his time saying, "Well, I'm not going to invest in trying to develop this German engineering. I'm going to go and spend my money buying stuff that's going to make me feel better about myself." Do you see what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
rather than consuming, he was investing. Rather than chasing, he was building right where he stood. And that makes and when you do that, that makes people chase you. That makes people see the value in you. That makes you see the value in yourself. That was a long-winded story. I hope it was worthwhile. But give me your thoughts on that.